Hey, what's up guys? This is Ratnoon, and I'm back with another build guide. I posted a short video of me messing around with the high damage Core Hammer Guardian build in PvP, and it has received so much positive response, and the views are shooting through the roof, so first and foremost, thank you guys so much for that, and in return, I want to give you the build and show you how it works. Let us go down the sewers and have a look. This is the Core Hammer Guardian. Hammer is a weapon that is rarely ever seen in PvP these days, especially on Guardians. But with some theory crafting, experimenting, and a lot of failing and learning, I have managed to come up with something that is quite usable. Let's have a look. So I run Radiance, Valor, and Virtues. Let's start by taking a look at Radiance. So in Radiance I pick Healer's Resolution. This gives me resolution whenever I use a heal skill. Retribution increases my damage by 10%. And Righteous Instincts makes it so that when I have resolution, I also gain might. And a 25% increase in critical chance. So that's sweet. Valor. Smiter Spoon. This casts lesser smite condition when I use a heal skill. And this is a meditation which cures conditions and damages nearby foes. It also deals more damage if a condition is cured. Strength in Numbers gives nearby allies 100 toughness. And Monk's Focus makes it so that meditation skills heal you. It grants Fury to nearby allies and gain reduced recharge. So this reduces the cooldown of both Smite Condition and Judge's Intervention, Contemplation, and Renewed Focus. And it also makes it so that all of those skills give 1.5k healing. So that's awesome. Virtues. Unscathed Contender increases your strike damage while you have Aegis, and we have permanent Aegis in this build. So that's a permanent 20% increase to our damage. That's really nice. Glacial Heart. This makes your Mighty Blow, which is the Hammer 2 skill, makes it become Glacial Blow. And this is an upgraded version of the skill that does more damage. It also applies Chill and is unblockable. So that's awesome. Last trait on Virtues is Indomitable Courage. This changes your active effect of your third Virtue skill with a stun break, and it grants stability to nearby allies. The passive effect of Virtue 3 also benefits from a shorter interval now. Other traits that are worth mentioning is probably Power of the Virtues, which reduces the cooldown of your Virtues with 15%. Virtue of Resolution makes it so that whenever you activate a Virtue, the resolution you get has a 25% increased duration. Might of the Protector is also really good, because it gives us might when we block attack. And we have a lot of block in this build, so you have a good might uptime. Steadfast Courage gives us protection when we block with Aegis. So both of these works really well with the Aegis in the build. Radiant Power. Attacks against burning foes have an increased chance to critically hit. And we get 150 ferocity as well. And this works out well with both the passive and the active effect of our Virtue of Justice, which is our first Virtue skill. With Renewed Justice, our Virtue of Justice also gets renewed when we kill a foe. Justice is blind. This blinds our enemies for 3 seconds while Virtue of Justice is active. And this helps landing your burst. So this is very nice. Let's have a look at the skills. So Shelter works really well in this build. It's a decent amount of healing, but also blocks attacks for 2 seconds. And this is awesome together with Might of the Protector, which gives us might when we block attacks. I very often end up having a ton of might after using my heal skill, which puts me in a perfect spot to counter back with some damage. So it's awesome. Smite Condition is a great condition cleanse. It has a fairly low cooldown, to be honest, and since it's a meditation skill, we also get healing from this, because of our traits. But very often we want to use this skill offensively in this build. and that's because of the fury you get from it, the 20% increase in critical chance. I'll explain later how that works. But next we have Judge's Intervention, which is a teleport skill that also burns foes. And again, this is a meditation skill, so it heals us for 1.5k, and it's also a stun break, so you can use this both to engage and disengage. But you need a target to use this. In World vs. World, it's easier to use for disengaging because you can teleport to critters and mobs around the map. But it still has many use cases. Contemplation of Purity is also a meditation skill, so that also heals us for 1.5k, which is so nice. We have so much healing in this build, and it's really needed because we're at 11.6k HP. But more importantly, it converts all conditions on us into boons. It is also a stun break, so that's your third stun break, and it also grants Fury. Renewed Focus is our elite skill. It is also a meditation skill like our utility skills, so it will also provide you with the 1.5k healing and Fury because of Monk's Focus. But more importantly, this skill will make you invulnerable for 3 seconds. And it recharges all of our virtues. It is worth noticing that it prevents capture point contribution. That means that you cannot capture or participate in capturing a node for the 3-second active timer. But that's not too bad. Before we look at the equipment, I quickly want to go over some weapon skills that I think is worth explaining a bit. So, Shield of Wrath is a block that lasts for 4 seconds. So with Might of the Protector, you can get Might from this skill. But this shield also explodes when it ends, and it does good damage. We want to be using this skill in our burst. I will explain it later. And Sealed's Defense is also a block. A ranged projectile block. It also does decent damage. On Hammer, you have a pretty interesting auto attack chain. It's kind of a weird one, but it does pretty good damage and is nice for cleaving. But the third attack in the chain has quite a long animation, and it can be hard to land sometimes. But eventually you'll get better at it. Anyways, it smashes a mystic symbol onto the ground that gives protection to you and your allies. And this symbol is also a light combo field, which you can blast with your Glacial Bow for an AoE Condy Cleanse. That's kind of neat. It looks something like this. It's kind of slow, and then you can blast it. Zealot's Embrace is a long-range attack that immobilizes foes in a line for 2 seconds. This is pretty nice in team fights if you can land it. I use it mostly as a finisher. For example, if I'm fighting a Mesmer, they're pretty low and they teleport away, I'll send Zealot's Embrace after them, and they either die from the damage, or the 2 seconds timer is long enough for me to catch up to them. Banish gets undeserved hate, in my opinion. You smash your hammer, and you launch your foe into the abyss. I absolutely love this skill. There's so many creative ways of using this skill. On Temple of the Silent Storm map, you can launch your foes near map objectives into the mine shafts. In World vs. World, you can knock players off cliffs and edges. You can even precast it and use your teleport right before it lands, and surprise launch players. If you are 1 vs. 1 on a side node, you can launch your foe off the node when it's down to capture points even quicker while you watch them bleed in the distance. You can also avoid burst damage, interrupt important skills in teamfights or 1 vs. 1. Yeah, there's so many use cases, you just have to be creative. If you've got any funny memories with Banish, leave them in the comments, I would love to hear about them. So, Ring of Warding is a weird skill. So, this skill creates a ring around you that foes cannot cross. Trapped foes cannot exit the ring while it's active. So, if anyone tries to walk into or out of the ring, they get interrupted and knocked back. And this skill honestly needs some rework to be usable in higher ranks. But I've had pretty good success with this build and the skill all the way up to gold 3 right now. And there is basically no one playing Hammer, so a lot of players don't actually know how the hammer works and what the skills are and what they do. So they also don't know how to counter them often. So it's also a light combo field, so you can also blast this with your Glacial Blow for the AoE consequence. Let me show you how the burst combo works. Remember I said we would use Shield of Wrath in our burst? Well, this is the first thing that you want to do. You want to activate Shield of Wrath, and right before the shield explodes, this is when we want to be on top of our target with Glacial Blow, which is our main burst skill. So to set this up, we precast Shield of Wrath to start the timer. And it's kind of weird in the beginning, getting the timing right. And I still have some practicing to do to be able to land every single time. When there's approximately 1 second left of your Shield of Wrath, you want to start casting Glacial Blow. And right before the cast bar is done, we're going to press Virtue of Justice for the blindness, burning and might. Smite Condition for the fury, so we have some extra crit. And Judge's Intervention to teleport on top of our target. If you do this from a decent distance, it's almost impossible to block or dodge this burst. It also does massive damage in a split second. Okay, let's see if I can pull this off. So I was a little bit too fast. You could see that my shield exploded like half a second after I landed my Glacial Blow. That's pretty much how it goes. Okay, let's have a look at the equipment. So I use hammer and a sword focus set. And I also run Berserker's Amulet for the highest damage potential. And since this build is played as a +1, we want to play Rune of the Lynx for the movement speed, so we can maneuver around quickly on the map and help out our teammates and fight quickly before moving to the next objective. There's also a nice power damage bonus on this rune, so it's really good. On hammer I run Sigil of Intelligence. This makes our next 3 attacks after swapping to hammer while in combat. You get 100% critical chance, and this is amazing for the Glacial Blows. Sigil of Exposure inflicts 5 stacks of vulnerability for 5 seconds when we swap to hammer, so these works really nice together. On the sword focus set, I run the well-known energy cleansing set for some extra endurance and Condi Cleanse. Okay, I think that's about it. Have some fun with this build, keep practicing. If you find it hard to survive on Berserker's Amulet, you can swap to Marauders for the few first games until you get the hang of the playstyle. And when you feel confident enough, you can switch back to Berserkers and have yourself a nice damage upgrade. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. And if you enjoy the build and the video, please give it a thumbs up, as these videos take a long time to put together. I also spend a lot of time on the builds themselves. If you want to talk to me, play together, or just get to know other like-minded gamers, join our community over on Discord. Link is in the description. Thank you for watching. Peace.